Good evening, folks. I hope you're well wherever you are, and I thank you for joining us here at European Studies for our very, very last webinar of this year. This is the last of these presentations that we're going to do, and we're a small group today, but that's great. That means hopefully we'll have lots of time for questions, and we can have a good time together quickly. I'll try not to take too much of your time because, you know, it's a Tuesday night, and I'm sure you have lots going on in your lives. But hopefully we can help you a little bit with some information about the European Studies program at the Hague University of Applied Sciences. Let me introduce who's here. You'll mostly be hearing from me, but I'm joined by a few other people. My name is Dave van Ginhoven. I know that it's a Dutch last name and you expect me to sound Dutch, but I'm not. I'm from Canada. I'm a teacher at European Studies, and I also do all of the public relations for the program. I'm joined by my colleague, Rebecca Kleiweg, who's also a teacher here, and a pretty neat person. And she's going to be monitoring the chat and answering any questions that you might have while I'm telling you our story. And when we get to the end, then we'll both try to answer your questions. We're also joined by a student who was kind enough to join us from work, actually. The students who were going to do this session have a project meeting right now, and they couldn't be here with us. So Simran has agreed to step in. Simran Khan is a student with a lot of experience in our student PR team, and she can help you with a wide range of issues related to the student experience. So if you have any questions about that, you can talk to her. And if you want to talk to our study association students who could not be here, get in touch with them on Instagram. You can find them at Escape to Us. They maintain their Instagram. You can reach out to them anytime, and they will happily tell you about their experiences at European Studies. If you want to speak to more students beyond that, I highly recommend that you sign up for our Shadow a Student program. The university offers the opportunity to get partnered up with a current student and to go to class with them, online class, of course, because we're not allowed to have visitors just yet. But you get to go to class, you can talk to the student, ask them any questions you have. We only have 2.5 weeks of classes left. So if you're interested in this experience, you need to sign up right away. You want to do that this week. Sorry, a colleague just came in to wave at me. You want to sign up for that right away by the 15th of the month, or there won't be an opportunity anymore. But you want to maybe think about that, because that's one of the best ways to find out about a study program is to go and visit, actually attend some classes. We always start the presentation by pointing out that we speak English. I think you noticed that by now. But we do the presentation in English because we do everything in English at European Studies. All of our classes, except for foreign languages, are taught in English, and we expect students to speak English at all times. This is for two reasons. One is to prepare for an international career, because that's what we do. We're preparing people for a global labor market where people have to speak a common language. But the second reason why we do it is equally important. We are an international and inclusive environment where everyone is meant to feel at home. Anywhere between 20 and 30, 35% of our students in any given year is international, and they don't speak Dutch. And so we can't have people speaking Dutch in the classrooms or in the hallways because those international students will feel excluded. Just as we can't have international students speaking a language Dutch students don't understand in class or in the hallway because the Dutch students will feel excluded. Everybody needs to feel welcome here, so everyone has to commit to the English-speaking atmosphere, to the inclusive environment. Don't be freaked out by the English. It should not intimidate you. This is not one of those study programs where they tell you that you have to have perfect English to start. We don't expect you to be, perfect speakers of English. We aren't perfect either. Like, I'm from Canada, so I'm a native English speaker, but a lot of my colleagues are from other countries. Some are Dutch, some are German, some are Bulgarian, Romanian. They speak other languages first, and English is their second language. And just like some of our students, they might make mistakes from time to time. That's okay. They're all skilled storytellers and experts in their field. They can teach you anything you need to know about business or politics or culture or management or marketing or whatever else. But they might make a teeny tiny language mistake from time to time, and that's okay. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to get better together, to improve. And so we'll be helping you improve throughout the program because we have a lot of courses that help you with your English, with your writing skills, your public speaking skills, and so on. We don't expect you to be perfect. We just expect you to commit and to try. Now that's the disclaimer, because you really need to know that first. You want to know about the English thing right away, because if that's not your thing, then you know European studies is not for me. Let's get into what the program actually is. I'm going to try to tell you our story. And if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat and my colleague will answer them. If you have questions for a student, throw them in the chat. Simran will answer them. And when we get to the end, I'll try to answer any remaining questions. But for the meantime, I'm going to try to tell you the story of European studies. What I'm not going to do is to try to sell you European studies. I am not here to try to persuade you to apply or to try to convince you. I don't get paid extra if you sign up or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you what we do. Hopefully, some of you will find it interesting. Some of you might not, and that's okay too. If you decide after this presentation that European studies is not for you, that's okay. It's not for everyone. We're here to present our program to try to reach the students that are right for European studies. That might be you, but once again, if it's not you, if this is not the right thing for you, that's fine. We will not take that personally or be upset. If you are the right kind of person, hopefully this program will appeal to you. And the right kind of person for our program is a sort of a unique individual. We're looking for an individual, a student who has diverse interests. We're looking for people who are interested in a lot of different things, specifically business, politics, and culture. That's the core of our program. Our program is about business and politics and culture and career preparation in those fields. You really do have to be interested in all of them. If you're just interested in business, there are plenty of business programs I can recommend to you. If you're just interested in politics, there are plenty of political science or public management programs that I can refer you to. But we're looking for people who are interested in all three of these things. We're looking for people who are interested in mixing them up, because that's what we do. We mix these disciplines together. European Studies is an interdisciplinary program. It mixes business, politics, culture, languages, intercultural competences, and professional skills in order to prepare people for a wide range of jobs. So you've got to be interested in all of those different things and open-minded about them. You don't have to be interested in economics or math, because we don't do those things. If you're interested in economics, I can recommend a few programs to you, but it's not what we do. We do business, culture, and politics, but not economics. And we definitely don't do math. I mean, here and there, you might need to do some very simple math in some of the business courses, but nothing serious. It might be for you if you're a person with an international outlook and an open mind and a love of languages. And if you're somebody who understands and embraces the most important thing that you need to know about European studies, which is that we do not prepare people for a single career. That is the thing that makes us different from a lot of other study programs. I don't know if you went to another presentation this evening. There are a lot of great programs in this university, and many of them prepare you for great careers. But most of them are more specific. They prepare you for one type of career. You study accountancy so that you can be an accountant, for example. European studies isn't like that. European studies is about preparing for career options. It's about mixing those diverse interests I just spoke about and learning certain professional skills so that you can go out and have a bunch of different career options, choices, and that you can have the skills that you need to adapt to different careers and different contexts, that you can be employable because you're adaptable. The labor market is changing a lot right now. It's the 21st century. These old cliches, come back at us like it's not the smartest or the strongest of the species that survives, but the one that's the most adaptable to change. European studies is about being adaptable to change, to the world, to different contexts, to different languages and different cultures, so that you can roll with the changing tides of the labor market. That's what we're about. But that doesn't really tell you what kind of job you can prepare for, what the main context is. Oh, sorry, my watch is talking to me. The short version of European studies is seen here. European studies is an interdisciplinary management study. Like a lot of applied sciences studies or HBO studies in the Netherlands, it is about preparing for a career at the management level. But what makes ES unique is that it's not one specific career, it's many different careers in different sectors. We are an interdisciplinary program that is focused on preparing for careers in the public and private sectors, meaning the public sector being governments and NGOs and nonprofits, and the private sector being business. Most management programs don't do this. Most focus on either the public sector or the private sector. And if you're just interested in the public sector, you should look into some of those programs like International Public Management here at The Hague University. If you're just interested in the private sector, if you're just interested in business, you can look at International Business. Both great programs run by friends of ours. But our program is different because it combines those different disciplines. It does both the public and private sector management. Why not? Management and marketing and communications and consulting are essentially the same skills no matter where you use them. So if you're going to learn how to manage an organization or do its marketing or to communicate or to advise that organization, why not learn how to do that in different contexts? That's what we're about. The name can be a bit confusing to people because the name European Studies is also used by some academic universities, but at academic universities, European Studies means something different. It usually means studying politics, history, economics, European integration and stuff. We talk about all of those things in our program, but our focus is on preparing for careers. Our focus is on looking at Europe from all angles, not just politics or economics, but also culture, business, communication, languages, building bridges. We're trying to encourage what we call multi-stakeholder cooperation, because European Studies is also a program that's about global citizenship. It's about trying to make the world a better place than it was yesterday. And the only way to do that is by getting people to cooperate. It's not just a matter for governments. It's not just a matter for NGOs. It's a matter for governments, NGOs, and businesses, and all these other organizations that have to come together to solve problems. Look at COVID-19, for example. Look at how different players in different sectors have to come together to work out solutions. That's what we focus on. We look at Europe from all these different perspectives, from the business perspective, the cultural perspective, and the political perspective. And we look at how the organizations operating within Europe try to move Europe forward, try to connect people together. We provide a European context to virtually everything that we do, whether that's looking at the European rules and regulations that we all have to follow, looking at European financing, dealing with European values and cultural norms. All of these things come together to help encourage this type of multi-stakeholder cooperation or collaboration. We basically want to prepare people to work in the governments, the political organizations, the international organizations, the NGOs, and the businesses of Europe in the future so that they can work together and make the world a better place. We want them to work in jobs in those organizations, in those sectors, or in jobs that bring those sectors together. Now, I still haven't been very specific. You're still like, come on, give me a specific example of a job. I feel you. I'll try. If you want to see some example careers, please look at our social media. If you go on our Instagram, you'll see that almost every week we run at least one story of a European Studies graduate. We tell the story of who they are, what they're doing now, and how European Studies help them get ready for it. There is no one type of job. There are dozens of different types of jobs. And those jobs, they can be all over the world, not just in Europe. I see a question about that. Yeah, you're not bound to just working in Europe. Europe is the context that we use to develop management skills, but you can apply those skills outside of Europe. You can apply them in a wide range of jobs, but most jobs, most of the different thousands of jobs that our students have gone on to fall into a couple of categories. They are jobs about management, marketing, communications, public relations, or policy advice/consulting. Basically, our graduates help run an organization, help that organization find customers, represent that organization to other stakeholders, or advise that organization on its decisions. Most of the jobs that our graduates go on to fall into one of those categories. And there are a lot of them. We've been doing this for 30 years. We turned 30 this year. We started in 1990, and so this is the 30th anniversary of our first year as a European Studies program. Sadly, we were not able to throw a birthday party, but hopefully next year we're gonna turn 30 again, just like I did a few years back. Okay, more than a few years back. A lot of our graduates also choose to pursue a master's degree, and you guys don't have to know right now if you want to do a master's degree or not. It's just a good idea to know that the possibility is there. A lot of students pursue a master before looking for a job, partly because some jobs today, especially in the public sector, tend to expect a master's degree. About half of our students do this, and they usually look for masters in public administration or international relations or something related to those, or in a different business-related field. After that, they go on to work in public or private sector jobs where they try to make the world a better place, which is all in line with our vision for this global citizenship thing I mentioned a second ago, caring about the world, being connected. And it's also in line with our university's motto, which is let's change, you, us, the world. Just to give you a few examples, here is Saeed Kazmi, who is kind of famous these days. He's on TV a lot. He is a vice mayor in Rotterdam and what they call a wethouder in Dutch. And he is responsible for organizing the Eurovision Song Contest in Rotterdam. So last year he faced a great disappointment when, of course, the contest was delayed. And the silver lining on that was that he actually came and helped us to help our students deal with their disappointment. He was our graduation speaker and delivered a video for our socially distanced graduation. And so, he turned his sort of disappointment into cheering them up as they faced theirs. And that was pretty cool. Alex, who graduated in 2012, is a circular economy manager. She works for a company that is doing what we like to see companies do. It's making the world a better place while also making a profit. She's a circular economy manager. She's all about recycling and making recycling something that isn't just done because it's a good thing to do, but also because it can be profitable and it can stimulate the economy. A really clever way to go about global citizenship and solving big problems. There's a lot of people working in marketing, like Swantje. She's a marketing manager for Douglas in Germany, but she also worked at other big brands like Swarovski, UBM, and L'Oreal. Susanna Rensen graduated just a few years ago, went out, traveled the world, and then got a master's degree in crisis and security management. And she just got a job as an intelligence specialist for the Dutch police, advising them on all kinds of important cultural matters related to safety and security. Katharina is a German graduate who works on European affairs at the German Parliament. She's like a liaison between German politicians and Europe and Brussels. Lars is a Danish student who graduated years ago, who I taught, and who now works at Sony. Another good example of public-private coming together, because he's an expert in European public policy, in European law and regulations, and his job is to help the company Sony make sure it doesn't break the law. He's what's called a compliance officer or a regulatory officer. Really good example of a European studies type of job. And we also have students like Tara, who works as a venture manager and a marketing consultant. If you run a brand and you're having trouble with your marketing, you can hire her to help you out, and she totally will. Those are just a few examples. I could go on about it all day because it's just so diverse. We have over 2,000 graduates with known job titles who've responded to our research, and we analyzed them a while back and found that they broke into these categories. These are the top 10 most common job categories for ES graduates. Once again, in the lead, you see management, marketing, communications, public relations, and different jobs that relate to consulting or giving advice of some kind. There's also a lot of sales and project management and other stuff, but these are the biggest categories that account for the most jobs. So how do we get people ready for those jobs? What's our program like? What are the courses? I'm sure there are some Dutch people here, and Dutch people always raise their hand and go, maar wat voor vakken ga ik volgen? People always want to know the courses. I cannot tell you the courses today, and that's only because we are still finishing up the last details on a few changes to our curriculum that are going to roll out in the fall. We are going to be doing the same stuff we've always done, but in a slightly new format, and the course titles are going to change. So I can't give you the details right now, but if you apply for European Studies, as soon as the details are finalized, you'll get a booklet from me telling you exactly what to expect. So there will be no surprises. I can give you the broad strokes, though. I can tell you that we have two versions of our program that lead you to the same diploma, a Bachelor of Arts of European Studies. You can earn that Bachelor of Arts in 4 years, or you can do our 3-year fast track. The programs are called ES4, 4 years, and ES3, 3 years. They cover the same stuff. They dive into Europe and its organizations. They look at business, politics, and culture, and the different types of institutions and organizations that play a role within European business, politics, and culture. They help you develop your knowledge of management, marketing, export, public policy, and a wide range of other issues. while also developing your professional skills and your foreign languages. By professional skills, we mean research, critical thinking, writing, public speaking, but we also mean intercultural communication and sensitivity, the ability to communicate with people who are different from you and have a different way of communicating. It's a very important part of global citizenship. Both of our programs allow a certain amount of customization. You do eventually get to specialize in politics or business. You also get to go on exchange, and while you don't get to pick the country, you get to specify your preferences, and they are taken into account. And when you go on exchange, you get to choose what courses you want to take. So you can fill in your CV to your own liking. You can customize your diploma, essentially. You get your choice of internship. Well, you have to do an internship to graduate. You have to work for a semester somewhere anywhere in the world, really, but you have to work somewhere that is international and has some kind of European context to it. That can be a business, it can be an NGO, it can be just about anything, but it has to be international. You get to choose, you get to apply, you get to develop the skills that you want for the career that you're aiming for. You also get to choose how to graduate. You have to do a graduation project, but that does not necessarily have to be a theoretical research paper or scriptsy. It can be applied research. You can do a practical project for a real employer. You can write a piece of policy advice for an organization, or you could write a marketing plan or an export plan for a company so that you can graduate with something that you can show to prospective employers. That choice is yours. I see a few questions that I will come to later. And if I don't remember to come back to your question, you let me know and I will return to it. I'm going to come back to exchange in a few minutes as well. This is what the 4-year program looks like. The first year is all about getting to know Europe and its organizations up close, skills development, modern foreign languages, personal reflection. The second year is about more complex themes that affect the public and private sectors, like sustainability, peace and security. The third year is where you go on exchange. You come back and you look at how diversity affects Europe and its professionals. And the 4th year is where you get to customize everything around your preferences. Are you more interested in business or politics? You do a minor, a bunch of courses devoted to your field of interest. You continue your foreign languages, you do your internship, and you write your graduation project. I don't have a nice visual for the 3-year program. It is different. It goes about covering this content differently. In the first year, you get to know the dimensions of Europe. You study European organizations, management and marketing, skills and languages. Basically the same stuff as the 4-year program, but in a different format with different course titles. In the second year, you specialize already. You have to continue learning about business and politics, but you get to specialize a little bit more in one than the other. And you also go on exchange in the second year if you're doing the fast track program. Then you have a few last-minute courses in the 3rd year, and you do your internship and graduation project there. You basically cover all the same stuff, but in a faster and more compact program. It's a tight package. It's a little bit harder, requires a little bit more self-study, and a little bit more independence. It also requires a high-level diploma. The 3-year fast track requires a Dutch VWO diploma or an international diploma that's judged to be at the same level, whereas the 4-year program is open to a wider range of diplomas that I'll come back to later. That's what we teach. This is how we teach it. We teach most of our courses in small groups. We don't really like to do things in big groups if we can avoid it. Sometimes we have big lectures where we put multiple groups together for the theory or for the instruction, but we always like to combine those lectures with smaller interactive seminars and workshops. We put our students in groups of 25, and most of the things they do in that group of 25. We use a different mix of teaching methods for different things, and we also try to mix up our assessment methods. So we don't just do multiple choice tests. If you're looking for a study program that's all multiple choice, they exist, we're not one of them. Okay, we prefer open questions, essays, assignments, research papers, presentations, and projects. We do have some multiple choice tests, but fewer and fewer as the years go on. What we really like to do, if we can, is to integrate knowledge and skills and to assess based on professional products. So at some point you might take a multiple choice test on marketing, but we'd really much rather get you to write a marketing plan. And that's also why we allow people to do an applied project for graduation, because it's more effective learning to do something professional. It doesn't matter that much if you know a lot about export if you don't know how to write an export plan, because companies need people who can write those plans, not people who can give them multiple choice theory about export. It's a challenging program. It's a lot of work. You do a lot of different things at once. You've got to be organized, work on your time management, but you do get help. You will have a staff mentor, a teacher who will mentor your class, and you'll have a student mentor in the first year who will help your class adjust. You get personal attention and help, but we are a big program. You do often have to ask for that help. People aren't going to guess that you need help unless you approach them. So get to know your supervisor, your mentor, and if you have anything that you need help with, raise a flag, ask for help, and you'll get it. Beyond that, the university as a whole is committed to providing full support for anybody with special needs. So if you've got any kind of medical, physical issue, behavioral issues, spiritual issues, learning disabilities, or anything like that, you will get help with that if you ask for it. Some of the details of what we're doing are still being finalized, as I said, but all applicants will be informed. I will write to everybody once everything is finalized. All of this, of course, happens within an international context. Our program is committed to internationalizations. We're one of the leading programs in the Netherlands for that. We were doing it before it was cool. We won awards for excellence in international higher education. And we did that by offering everybody an international experience. All students get to develop their intercultural competence, their ability to go to a different environment and adjust. That's hugely important to us. It's a big part of global citizenship. We develop that in our international classrooms and with our intercultural communication program, but also by sending people on exchange. And yes, a few people have asked, the exchange program is mandatory for all Dutch students. Raise your hand if you're Dutch. Real quick, let's see what we're dealing with here. Okay, it's about half. If you're Dutch, you're required to go on exchange in order to be forced out of your comfort zone and made to adapt and to develop these adaptation skills. If you're not Dutch, you're already doing this when you come here, but you also have the option of going on exchange, and most international students do. If you don't want to go on exchange, you can do courses of your own choosing, either in our university or another Dutch university. You go for a full semester, you study for 5 months at another university. We have partners all over the world, pretty much everywhere in Europe, and a growing number of destinations outside. Here on the left, you see just a few examples. We have a lot more partners than just that. You can find out more about our partners by visiting the website noted here, globaloffice.nu. Someone asked in the chat about costs. The tuition is covered by your tuition at our university, but you do have to cover your own travel and accommodation costs and your cost of living while you're on exchange. You also develop these skills further on that internship that I mentioned. Everybody goes to work at an international employer in the Netherlands or abroad, and they show the work, the world of work, what they can do. They show the labor market what they can do. This, combined with the graduation project, helps you develop your CV and your personality and your skills so that you know exactly what you have to offer the labor market, and that will hopefully get you hired. We know it gets a lot of our students hired because 1 out of 3 of our interns gets offered a job most years. The average is 1 in 3. Some years it's 1 in 4, and some years it's 1 in 2, but the average is 1 in 3. The university, Anna, does not place you in an internship. You apply. We have a network of partners, and you can apply for their vacancies, but you can also find your own internship. And if it meets our criteria for international work and a European context, then they'll totally let you do it. Here are a few examples. These are a few places where people have done their internships relatively recently. Many students do their internship in the Netherlands because there's so much work here. We have 160 international organizations in The Hague alone. So there's a lot of opportunity, but a lot of people go abroad. All of the yellow countries on this map have been countries where students have done an internship in recent years. These are public sector internships for the people who like that type of thing. You can see some different types of international organizations, political parties on all sides of the political spectrum, local, provincial, national, and international government organizations, and nonprofits, among others. And these are really just a few. And here are some examples of private sector internships. But once again, these are just a few examples, but these are all places where students have worked relatively recently. And in pretty much all cases, whether it's public or private sector, they do a little bit of, they do work that applies to what I've been talking about: management, marketing, communications, public relations, and advice. A lot, especially of the marketing internships, involve a lot of social media work. I once had a student work at Hunkemöller. Her job was, it sounds almost silly to say it, but her job was to take pictures of underwear and post it on Instagram, because that's how marketing works these days. Go figure. You have people working at banks, you have people working at wholesalers, you have people working just about anywhere, really, and that's pretty cool. And at the end of that, they are ready to go out and start their career, ready to go to work. That's what the program is like, and that's how it ends. Here on this slide, we're getting towards the end, is how it begins, if you want to apply. Anybody can apply for our program by going to the website StudyLink, www.studylink.nl. You simply make an account if you don't have one, and you apply for our program, and you answer some questions and upload some documents. It's really easy to do. It's a good idea to be aware of the basic entry requirements, though. The 4-year program requires a Dutch HAVO diploma, or a Dutch VWO, or an MBO diploma level 4, or an international diploma that's at the same level. The 3-year program requires that you have a VWO diploma or an international diploma that's the same level, like the International or European Baccalaureates, the German Abitur, and so on. Regardless of what secondary school diploma you have, it's important to know that all profiles are welcome. It does not matter if you did E&M or C&M if you're Dutch. It does not matter what MBO program you did, as long as it's level 4. And the way that admissions work at universities like ours is that if you have a diploma that qualifies, you're in. It's not official until you get an official acceptance. But if your diploma qualifies for admission, then you are admitted to the program. Anna Carolina, you say you have the Canadian Alberta High School diploma. I'm from Alberta. Holler. I'll come back to that point, though, if you don't mind. You're from Edmonton. My parents grew up in Edmonton. I was born in Calgary, though, but I was an Oilers fan, because I like to be contrary and rebellious in my family. The rest of the people in this chat don't know what we're talking about. I'll come back to that in a second, though, if you don't mind, Anna. You apply. You basically have to make a choice if you want to apply for the 3-year or 4-year, depending on what your diplomas are. It's the same difference in the end. It's the same diploma. I would say do the 3-year program if you have a qualifying diploma and if you can handle a lot of pressure and self-study and work independently. If you need a little bit more of a relaxed pace and a little bit more guidance and personal attention, then you might want to consider the 4-year program. If you have specific questions about enrollment, like does my diploma qualify, like Anna's question just now, the best place to do any business related to that is our enrollment center. And you can reach them at csi@hhs.nl, like the movie, or the TV show rather, CSI. I'm not allowed to answer questions about diplomas because I can never remember all of the rules, and the rules are very complicated. The people at CSI, they know all the rules and they can answer your questions most effectively. So if you've got any question about your diploma, tuition, entrance tests if necessary because you don't have a complete high school diploma or something, take your question to CSI and they will answer it for you, I promise. You need to apply on StudyLink, and you need to choose a foreign language. And this is the last thing I'm going to tell you about because I'm already a little bit behind schedule, but it is an important thing. We're trying to connect Europe together from the city of The Hague, and to do that we want our students to be multilingual. All of our students have to learn at least one foreign language. You learn French, German, or Spanish, and you study it throughout the program. If you're an international student, let's get your hands up if you're an international student, please. Sweet. All right. Well, Anna, you, Julia, Rebecca, and Anna too, you can also choose to do Dutch if you want as your foreign language. You can do French, German, or Spanish, or you can do Dutch. We offer our main languages, French, German, and Spanish, at 2 levels. We have basic, beginner level, and we have plus, advanced level. And here's the thing. If you had a foreign language in high school, if you had French, German, or Spanish in high school, you are strongly recommended to continue with that language. If you had French at HAVO, do French with us. for a couple of different reasons. One of them is that if you do an advanced or plus level foreign language, you have more options when you go on exchange. If you want to go on exchange to Spain, your Spanish has to be so good that you can go and participate in a debate on political issues in Spanish. So you've got to have that high level. So stick with the language you had in high school if you had one. It's the smartest thing you can do. It also gives you access to some special projects that sometimes include field trips and introductions to the labor market. And most importantly, it lets you graduate with a professional level of that language. If you come out of your high school having done 4 or 5 years of German and you do German with us for 4 years, when you graduate, you should be able to work in a German-speaking environment. You won't be perfect, but you'll be well on your way to an established near native level of skill. And that's a really sexy thing to have on your CV these days. I know that we have globalization and Google Translate, but people still like to do business in their own language. And if you really want to go out and succeed internationally, you got to have more than one language. So you got to learn French, German, or Spanish, or if you're international, you can do Dutch. If you don't have a language in your high school background, you can start at beginner level with a basic course. You can do basic German, basic French, basic Spanish, or basic Dutch. Again, if you're an international student. Do be aware that, and you can also, if you really hate your language from high school and you want to start over with another one, you can apply for a basic level of another language if you want. But, and this is a big but, space in beginner languages is limited. So if you apply for a basic course, we cannot guarantee that there will be place for you. And that is why when you apply on StudyLink, you have to specify a first choice and a second choice. And indeed, that is the last main thing that I wanted to tell you. There's so much more I'd like to get into, but really I'd like to see what kind of questions you have first. I know I've already yapped at you enough, so I don't want to present any more. There is a lot more to find out. You can find out about our Study Association Escape and the extracurricular activities that we offer. What I would strongly suggest that you do after this presentation, if you think that European studies might be right for you, that you should go out and get more information. Get as much information as you can. Do the shadow a student thing if you can. There's a QR code right here that you can scan in order to sign up for that. But you have to sign up like today or tomorrow if you want to get a spot. See our social media, talk to our students if you can. Write to us at europeanstudies@hhs.nl if you have a specific question that's about the program. Write to that enrollment office if you have a question about the details of enrollment and tuition and whatnot. And just get as much information as you can so you can be sure about what's right for you.